Hi, my name is Sue Skasky with Vermont Volunteer Services for Animals Humane Society, and welcome to our show, For the Animals. Today we're covering a serious subject, and I would like to introduce somebody who's been very active with this concern.
Hi, my name is Barry Adams. I first got involved with this issue in 2007 after I found a dog in a hot car in Brattleboro. I started educating myself on the issue, and eventually I was successful in getting the town of Brattleboro to include warnings on dog licenses and dog license renewals, and having signs installed in municipal parking lots in Brattleboro. I've worked for several years with the My Dog is Cool campaign, which is a public educational campaign aimed at decreasing the number of dogs suffering and dying in hot cars.
And
I'm Dr. Chris Mangini of Woodstock Animal Care in Woodstock, Vermont. I'm here as an expert, and I'm very familiar with the consequences of dogs being left in cars and hyperthermia, and I'm just here to help answer questions.
Barry, let me start off with why do you think that this issue has caught on around the country to the degree that it has?
I think the primary reason it's caught on is because it's a grassroots-led campaign, fueled primarily by people's passion and their caring for animals. Leaving dogs in a hot car is a pervasive problem, and it's growing. The awareness about the problem is growing. So passion-filled activists have really raised public awareness on this issue.
Okay, and it's a common occurrence. Unfortunately, sadly, it is a common occurrence.
It's still occurring.
Yeah.
Every summer there's numerous reports of both people and animals being left in cars and being killed or seriously hurt, so this is a good time for us to talk about this subject.
It's comfortable outside in the car. I mean, sitting outside, we have some shade, there's some breeze blowing, but the real issue is when we go inside a car. Could you tell me, Barry, now that the change is, people are becoming more aware, what do you think that we need to do to bring lasting change?
Well, I think we're seeing both the great success of public education campaign, but we're also seeing the limitations of that campaign. We have more and more awareness across the country and Canada, and people are responding in various ways. They're aware that trouble is present when a dog is found in a car, and they're responding in different ways. They're doing nothing, they're smashing windows, they're getting into verbally violent confrontations with car owners, and they're calling 911. And when the police respond, or the animal control officer, they also respond in various ways, from doing nothing and not recognizing that it's an emergency to smashing the window.
I'd like, would you show the audience, please, what you have in your hand? This is something that a group, is the group identified by name?
Well, initially, when I had the signs installed in Brattleboro, Vermont municipal parking lots, a number of newspaper stories ran, and other people in Vermont read those stories and were moved to create signs in their own community. This is one of the signs that's currently being installed around the Springfield, Chesterfield, and Ludlow areas.
And it's being sponsored. Now, these signs are $30 each?
For $30 each, and any business or private citizen can sponsor one for $30 and be acknowledged on the bottom of the sign.
I think that's pretty
Excellent
awesome
idea,
for Woodstock. I think it's a great idea. Okay.
Well, I've also had two experiences, one in Brattleboro and one in Boston, where the animal control officer, when I found the dog in 2007, the animal control officer that responded measured the temperature. It was 106 inside the car, but she refused to let the dog out and left the dog in the car for 25 minutes. So by the time the owner of the car returned and they released the dog was in acute distress. I'm not sure if that dog survived. So it is an issue that I think that responders do need to understand, that it's an emergency. In Boston, I also had a situation where two dogs were in a car on a hot day in the sun, and I had 6 firemen respond and 3 police officers to my call, none of whom recognized that it was a problem. They felt that I was interfering with private property of the car, and that car happened to be parked at a meter on the street.
Okay. And Dr. Mangini, do you have that thermal?
Did they have a way of measuring the temperature in the car?
In Brattleboro, the animal control officer did, and it was 106. In Boston, none of them have.
This is an infrared temperature sensor. You can just point and shoot, and it'll tell you the temperature wherever you're shooting it. So you can easily measure the temperature inside cars, and all animal control officers should have them, unless they live in Alaska or something, maybe.
You brought up something. First, Barry, you mentioned the temperature was 106, but before we started recording, you talked about a temperature of 101. Could you go into that a little bit?
Well, yeah, animals, dogs and cats, ambient temperatures, on average about 101 degrees, and the only way that they can cool themselves off is by breathing in cooler air, and, we can sweat, evaporate some of our heat, but they have no choice. So as soon as the temperature in the car gets to the body temperature, around 100, 101 degrees, they can no longer cool themselves, no matter how much they pant. As the temperature increases, panting is actually going to increase body temperature for them. And they're really stuck in a downward spiral at that point because they have no other ways to cool themselves.
Yeah, I think concerned. We know that last year about 40 children had died in the United States after being left in hot cars. And that's certainly a concern. But usually when a child is left in a hot car, it's an accident due to an overly exhausted parent, or they're unaware that the child was placed in the car by possibly their spouse. So it's usually an accident when a child is left in a hot car. When a dog is left in a hot car, it's an intentional choice to do that based on misinformation and erroneous beliefs that the dog can tolerate anything. And in fact, they're more vulnerable than a child.
I'm getting a reading on the sunny parking lot of 123 degrees. On the shady parking lot, it's 102 degrees. And people just might not realize that the radiant heat coming off a parking lot is enough to heat a car right up, regardless of other factors.
And in Vermont, we do have a statute that allows an animal to be removed from a car. But I've got to also stop and say common sense. If you see a child or you see a dog and you don't see a police officer or you don't see a humane agent, be an activist. Would you let a child die? Would you let a dog die? You have to do what you know is right.
Well, I think, too, part of the, what I've come to understand over 7 years is that I believe the first thing that should be done is to call 911.
And we were also talking about group mentality, about how people can see a situation and walk right by. Could you share that?
Well, the history of reluctance to intervene, even in many horrific situations, has been studied for many, many years by sociologists. And basically, people are hesitant to get involved because they are unsure that what they're seeing is real. They're not aware of what they're seeing, the danger of what they're seeing.
Yeah, call 911 because the police may have the legal right to smash that window or open the door or whatever it takes to save that animal.
Okay, and with that, Dr. Mangini and I are taking on a project. We're going to go inside a car, and are we going to crack the windows?
We can crack them, I guess. And it's going to get really hot no matter what we do. So it's just a matter of a few minutes whether the window's cracked or not before we can't tolerate it anymore.
So you can watch us, and we're going to do a little experiment right now.
We don't want kids to try this at home, that's for sure, because could be very dangerous. We've all been in saunas, we've all been in steam rooms, and we leave as soon as we can't tolerate it. And Sue and I are going to leave when we can't tolerate it, I think. And realize that a dog or a young person, has no choice in this situation. So we'll just give you an idea just how hot it can get, how quickly.
Let's go.
It's July 9th, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. It's overcast right now, but up until a half hour ago it was sunny. We are expecting rain later, so we've got a breeze coming through. It is 84 degrees inside our car. It's 81.8 degrees in White River Junction. And now we begin this episode.
We have entered the death trap as she closes the window. We're going to leave them cracked a little bit because most dog owners think that's the thing to do. Just leave the windows cracked a little bit and the dog will be fine. So we're going to simulate that situation. Seemingly a nice day. Doesn't seem too hot outside. There's a nice breeze, but it's already feeling warm in here to me.
It is. We haven't even been in here 30 seconds already, and it's pretty warm. reports every year of thousands of dogs die across the country being left in the cars. And would you talk about exercise and play?
Well, you know, animals have an intrinsic sort of feeling about whether they're hot or not, but they don't really know that when they're getting in danger until they're in danger. And then that's the animal with the big tongue that's hanging out, and they're panting and panting and panting. That means they've gone too far. Their body temperature is probably 103, 104 degrees at that point. And they'll do that readily. They'll do that just in fun. So the animals don't really know how much danger they're going to be in. It's up to us to watch over them.
You know, even seemingly mild days are dangerous. I would think a lot of people would think if they went out today, it's overcast, I could take my dogs. They'll have some shade.
Sure, a lot of us think that the breeze will take care of everything, but really you can't get much breeze in a little crack like this, and it's not going to exchange much air. Plus, the glass in the car acts like a greenhouse, as we've all witnessed, and there really is no relief with the windows cracked. Maybe with the windows down it would be a little better, where you wouldn't get a lot of heat buildup, but cracking the windows is not really going to provide the kind of relief that an animal needs in a day like today.
Yeah, we've left all 4 windows open about an inch and a half, which I think is pretty common for people.
Sure,
If they think that that's going to provide some form of wind cycle.
Even seemingly mild days are dangerous. In a Stanford University study, when it was 72 degrees outside, the car's internal temperature climbed to 160 degrees within an hour. Most of the temperature rise occurs in the first 15 to 30 minutes.
And you know, excuse me, it's getting warm in here. And you have to consider this, dogs or cats have fur coats on.
Yeah, I mean, we've got these nice cotton shirts. When we get wet, they'll give us some cooling, but animals can't sweat. They don't have any way to cool themselves besides panting. An animal's temperature, dog or cat, is averaging around 101 degrees. As soon as the temperature in the car comes near 100 degrees, panting will not cool the animal down. In fact, the action of panting will generate more heat, and they're just going to get hotter and hyperthermic from 100 degrees on.
Enclosed cars heat up quickly. I know there was a study done in San Francisco State University where it was 80 degrees outside and the temperature inside the car rose to 99 degrees in 10 minutes and 109 degrees in 20 minutes.
Enclosed cars heat up very quickly. In a study by San Francisco University, when it was 80 degrees outside, the temperature inside the car rose to 99 degrees in 10 minutes.
You must be getting exhausted already. I just said that.
It's 91 degrees in the car. We've already gained 10 degrees in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, 10 degrees. We haven't even been in this car closed up for 5 minutes. Let's talk about the statute in Vermont.
Yeah.
It's Title 13, Chapter 8, which is Humane and Proper Treatment of Animals, subsection 386, Confinement of Animals
This
in
is a pretty
vehicles.
new law, isn't it, Sue?
No, I think it's been on the books for a few years.
Okay. I just think there's something new that I thought, and that is that an animal control officer can actually break into a car now by law.
It's a humane officer or a member of a fire or rescue group may use reasonable force to remove any such animal from a motor vehicle.
Okay.
The officer removing an animal shall deliver the animal to a humane society, veterinarian, town, or municipal pound. If the owner of the animal cannot be found, the officer shall place a written notice in the vehicle bearing the name of the officer and the department and address where that animal may be claimed. The owner shall be liable for reasonable expenses, and a lien may be placed on the animal for these expenses. The officer may not be held liable for criminal or civil liability for any damage resulting from actions taken under subsection of this section.
A person shall not leave an animal unattended in a standing or parked motor vehicle in a manner that would endanger the health and safety of the animal.
Failure to comply with subsection of this section is a violation of the title.
We were noticing that when you shoot it through the glass, it trims the temperature of about maybe 6 or 8 degrees. Through the cracked window, you can get an accurate temperature. And we were going around the parking lot and finding temperatures of 115 degrees and 112 degrees in many of these parked cars that have cracked windows like we do.
I bought mine in AutoZone, and this one was just about $40.
keeping something like this in the glove compartment of your car would be a good idea. They're not expensive,
Yeah.
and they can help you if you find an animal locked in a car to see if it's a dangerous situation. As I said, anything over 100 degrees in a car is a dangerous situation for a dog.
Right now it's 2:43. We've been in the car, how long
10
now?
minutes, 11 minutes, I think.
Yeah, and it's getting really uncomfortable.
Roll them up.
All right, we're going to roll these windows up now just to show you how quickly, without any air movement.
And then we're going to show you, by opening the windows, how little a difference it makes. Oh boy, here
I'm
we
not
go.
really looking forward to this.
This isn't going to
It's-
last long.
It's very uncomfortable already. We know that last year there were cases of dogs that died in the car, children too, my God.
And most people just don't understand how serious this situation can be. I mean, everybody seems to know that their car gets hot.
Yeah.
But they just don't know how dangerous it is for dogs. You see a lot of dogs trying to sip that little bit of coolant
Yeah.
coming through the crack in the window with their tongue hanging out, and that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Many of us think that if we're only going in for a minute, unfortunately, we end up getting stuck in there for some other reason. Line at the register, or you can't find the product that you want. You don't know how quickly this temperature is going up. Right now, this is what your dog's feeling, and it doesn't feel good. It's going to get dangerous for us and your pet in just a few moments.
Dr. Mangini, can you talk about what physically happens to the animal?
Yeah, well, the body tries to cool itself right away. So what it does is it shunts blood to the skin so that it can radiate out the heat. This causes somewhat of a shock situation because the blood is now no longer at the core for, cardiopulmonary function and things like this. Very quickly, the system's going to start to shut down because it's overheating. Once the temperatures rise above 107 degrees, you're going to start having irreversible kidney and liver damage. These signs may not manifest for a few days, that is once the animal's saved from the car, but it could lose a quarter, a third, or half of its kidney function, and nobody would ever know until later in life. So there can be a lot of occult damage that occurs to the pet by being in the hot car that you might not even know about. Sure, you cool it down and sure it feels better, but you may have trimmed its life by a couple of years.
So at what temperature does the brain actually shut down at?
I wouldn't say it's probably 110, but it's going to start to malfunction probably around 106, 107 degrees. You're going to cause irreversible damage as you get above that, and it's a time-related exposure. Just a few minutes at that temperature can be lethal. I have seen cases that can get up that high, and if they're only high for a minute or two, you can certainly save the animal, but it requires incredibly fast treatment. That is, ice-cold intravenous fluids, ice-cold enemas, ice water baths. Things like this can be used to quickly lower body temperature. So whenever someone finds an animal with hyperthermia, a great way to cool an animal down is to wet it, of course, because it can't sweat. So this would mean wetting particularly the legs and underside of the animal, the armpits, the groin, and the neck, where the blood vessels are close to the skin, and we can get some cooling going on right away. The animal's going to want to drink. Give it cool, not cold water. You don't want the animal drinking ice-cold water. That's going to cause some problems with the stomach and vomiting. But just cool water or room temperature water for the animal to just get this. If you got water that's 90 degrees even, it's going to be 10 degrees cooler than the dog's body temperature and probably 20 degrees cooler than the inside of the car. And this will provide some instant relief, but it's important to know you don't want to cool an animal down too fast. That can be dangerous. Also, ice water to cool the outside of an animal is thought not to work as quickly because our skin contracts. It gets thicker to insulate us from the cold. So it's better to use cool water rather than ice cold water to get a more rapid cooling of the pet.
I'd like to, okay, it's 2:48 right now. Let's roll down the back window a little bit and get a reading.
Let's get a reading.
Oh,
It's
my
going to
goodness.
be hot. It looks like the
I'm
sun's
really-
going to come out soon.
This is,
This could be a case where people might think it's fine. It's a little bit cloudy. How warm can it get?
we've been in here 10 minutes.
No, it's been about 15 minutes.
We're being told it's 10 minutes. I know it feels like longer, but look at Trey is pointing to his watch. It's 10 minutes. I am sweating. I'm glowing.
Yeah.
And you're glowing.
I feel like I'm glowing.
Oh, I know what I want to talk about. Sometimes people will think that it's okay to leave the air conditioner running in the car. This I learned the hard way. I brought my dog to Staples 4 years ago, and I only had to go in for 5 minutes. I had Kiwi in the car, I had it rolled up, the air conditioner going, and 3 minutes into the store, somebody came in and said, a car is overheating out front, and I parked right in front, and my car, a Caravan, there was smoke coming out of...
Yeah, steam probably.
From, this is, I'm spacey,
It
from...
overheated.
From
Yeah.
the engine. From the engine. And they called the fire people, and they came, and of course I got my dog out right away, but leaving the engine running with the air conditioner put too much stress on the car.
Cars need to move to cool themselves off, and so leaving it sitting there, if it's that hot out, it's probably going to overheat. Now it's going to work in the short term, and it wouldn't be a bad idea if you kept checking the car and the animal every 5 or 10 minutes. But it's probably makes more sense just to leave the animal at home.
Yeah.
You can think of other strategies if you can't do that, such as bringing the animal into the store if the proprietor will allow it, such as perhaps even tying the dog to a shaded area out behind the building or to a tree, or maybe just bring a friend along in the car so they can take the dog for a walk while you shop. Again, it's not the outside temperature that matters. Most animals can handle almost any temperature Mother Nature can throw at them out there, but inside a car like this, as soon as the temperature gets anywhere near what it is here, the animal's body temperature is going to go up and up and up, and they don't have any way of cooling themselves. They don't have any way of cooling themselves because they'll be panting air that's warmer than they are.
Oh my God, it's so hot in here.
Oh, it's going to get hotter.
This is insane. You know, the sun is starting to peak around those clouds.
It's going to get hot.
It's going to get. It's already hot.
So what can you do if you find an animal in a car like we are right now? Ideas are, I think the best idea is just to call 911 right away. Get the professionals who have the option of breaking into that car. Have them come right away. While you're waiting for them, see if you can find the owner. If you could, it's probably faster than 911 can respond, and they're not going to like hearing from you. But it doesn't matter if you get that, if you save an animal's life. What else can they do?
Get that animal, get that baby out. Last year, I was in West Lebanon, and we had a situation where somebody was here from Georgia. I had the gun in the car. When I first shot it in, it was 109 degrees. I went in and was told that they will not make the public announcement. I was very upset.
Wow.
I called the police, somebody showed up, and she waited until the owner came out. And by the time that person came out, it was 127 degrees. That officer, which we have addressed, was more upset with me. Her comment was, "Do you carry this around with you?" I said, "Yes, I do." As a matter of fact, and you should too. But the man said to her, "I live in Georgia, and this happens all the time. The dogs are used to it." That answer was so bizarre. Yeah. But I think that this is an awful lot where we need to educate the public.
Well, you know, I really think that the public is getting more of an education, but we're still seeing the problem as often as ever. The other day I was at the bank, just went in for a deposit. I had my windows rolled up, the AC was on, my dog was inside, the car was running. I was in for about 2 minutes and came out to find people accosting me for leaving the dog in a car. And I explained to them that it's nice and cool inside, I'm a veterinarian, and it didn't seem to satisfy them much. But there's a lot of people that are pushing this issue, and I think that's great. The awareness is out there. We just need to spread around, and if you see an animal stuck in a car, take action immediately, because it can happen very fast, as we're witnessing right now. I'm
sweating. Now I'm sweating. And you know, this should be treated like the emergency medical issue that it is.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I'm having a little hard time articulating. It's really uncomfortable in here.
Well, we might choose this if we wanted a sauna or a steam bath, but we are afforded the ability to leave as soon as we're uncomfortable.
Okay, it's a few more minutes now. Let's let Barry.
Okay.
I'll do.
Take a shot, Barry. It's warmer for sure.
We have a reading of 121.
Okay.
121 degrees.
Okay, that's 20 degrees over the average temperature of a dog or cat. Each breath they take, it's going to warm them up even more. Let's talk about the physiology of heat gain or loss for people or animals. Body temperature is derived as a function of a cube. It's a function of mass. We generate heat based on how much mass we have. But we lose or gain temperature as a function of our surface area, which is a square. So we gain heat as a function of a power of 3, and we lose heat as a function of a power of 2. So losing the heat that we gain from our normal body function is going to take a lot longer than it did to gain that heat.
Oh my goodness.
I can feel the sweat dripping down my neck now.
And you know, again, let's talk about...
Forgetting what we're talking about,
I'm
Sue?
forgetting what we're talking
Let's look at here. We talked about air conditioning.
Okay, I like this one. American Veterinary Medical Association. Org.pets in cars. Okay, very good. The temperature inside your car can rise almost 30 degrees Fahrenheit within 20 minutes. If you love us, leave us at home. The longer you wait, the higher it goes. The more dangerous it becomes. Keep your pets safe. Leave them at home.
That's us right now. We're baking.
Yeah.
It seems fun and funny, but if I was a child or a pet left in this car, I would absolutely be frantic. The air is thick with heat. It feels like it's making me hotter. It is making me hotter because my normal temperature is 98 degrees. I'm probably 101 degrees body temperature right now. That's why I'm sweating. And each breath that I take, each breath that a pet stuck in a car takes, is going to cause it to be warmer. I understand that I can open this door and leave. A dog doesn't understand that. If they get frantic and try to get out, it's going to make things worse.
You know,
as they jump around, they're going to generate more heat as a function of a cube because it's body temperature, body heat that's being generated by their mass, and they can only cool off as a function of a square. There's no cooling in this car. I'm gaining temperature because my skin is being exposed to 123 degrees. The inside, underneath the skin, it's probably 100 degrees, 101 degrees. So I am warming up quickly.
You know, I've got to say, too, an officer last year at Meadowbrook, there was a car parked with a dog inside, and people were going by trying to prop the window open. And when the officer came, he looked at the dog, who was curled up on the seat, and he said, "The dog does not seem in distress to me." Well, the dog didn't have any energy to do anything else. I think it was really, and luckily for them, they did make an announcement, and the owner came and took the dog out, and they were furious. They were furious.
Really?
Let's do one more reading. It's been about 4 minutes since Barry did the last reading.
What do you think, Barry? Want to give us another reading? All right, well, let's look at this. An animal that's panting, if it's sitting in a car and it's panting, that animal is hyperthermic. It's trying to cool itself.
May I have that?
You'll see you'll see an enlarged tongue, which is a physiologic change to increase the size of the radiator so the animal can cool even more.
Okay, I'm inside right now, and it's been about 5 minutes since our last reading.
Yeah.
It is going up as we're talking.
There it is, yeah.
It's going up to 122.
It's climbing quickly.
123, 123.5. It's leveling at 124. Okay, you know what? We are definitely at the end of this show.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that anybody would call this acceptable, but you've got to know this is what happens.
Please take our word for it. You don't have to try this. It's extremely hot here.
Okay, thank you for joining us on For the Animals, and please spread the word, people.
Saving a life is a wonderful thing, and it'll make you feel good for the rest of yours.
2 legs and 4. Thank you guys for watching us on For the Animals. Holy God.
And this is what, 20 minutes?
It's only 20 minutes, yeah.